brennt alle Brücken nieder. Sie reißt alle Mauern ein. Sie fährt fort und kommt nie wieder. Für immer frei, für immer frei.
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Okay, yep, I can hear you. We are live, Brendo. What's going on, man? How you been?
Doing well. You know, ready for the holidays. All that jazz.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to I was actually over at Chaz's last night. We were talking about something like last year with work, the way Christmas worked. It was like it fell on I think it fell on it was something like Saturday, Sunday. Like Christmas Eve was on the 24th. And Christmas Day was on the 25th, so it was like no extra days of work off. And, you know, having worked with, you know, my dad for like, I don't know, whatever, 5 years, like it was really, and transitioning to a company job, I was like really excited for like the extra days off. So this year is like much better because you actually get, I don't know, are you taking all next week off?
No. Like with our management team, I'm like one of two people who's available. The other one has family out of state, so it's kind of like every holiday I'm the one working.
I gotcha. Yeah, well, I'm doing this. I have Christmas Eve and day off, and then I'm going into the office like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but it'll basically be a ghost town. So you know, it won't be too bad. But man, thanks for agreeing to do this. I actually was talking to a buddy of mine who was saying that this would be a good idea for, as you know, I've been working on video games on the side, but this would just be like a fun project to just talk to, you know, good friends about like video games and they're pretty fun. So I don't know, like it's just trying to like kind of talk around that topic and.
I like it. It's kind of funny. You've asked me about it a couple of times and you keep saying thanks, which is great. I love the gratitude, but I'm like, dude, I'm excited for this too.
Yeah. So I guess
this is a great way to spend my time.
And you know, I know we've talked about this before, but I wrote down a few questions here, and I think like a good one to start out with on this topic is just what do you think are the top 3 video games in your mind of all time?
Of all time. Oh man, big question. So I think there's 2 ways that I could answer this question, and I want you to tell me which one how you want me to answer, or I can say both of them. So one of the ways is kind of the top 3 games that I like in terms of like and most influential into what I like and what I appreciate in games, or the ones that I think are just, these are the best made games and maybe I didn't play them or they weren't my absolute favorite kind of thing, but I can appreciate them for what they are. So I could go into both of those or just one.
You dealer's choice. I'm down for whatever. However you want to answer the question.
Okay. Well, I'll do the one that's more personal to me. So,
okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. I and some of this is just going to go with, it comes down to when I played them and, you know, it's a formative years kind of thing.
Right.
And the one that always comes to mind when this question comes up is Final Fantasy 3 or Final Fantasy 6 for the Super Nintendo. That game just, top to bottom, like at the time, it was basically the best graphical RPG that you could get for the Super Nintendo. The soundtrack to this day is completely amazing. The story is good, and you know, it's one of those RPGs where people argue over who the main character is because everyone has a different favorite or what they think is more poignant on the story. And then
so sorry. So it's not a game that I've actually. But so you can actually like choose which is your main character in both. Is it 3 or 6 that you can do that?
So 3 is the American number, 6 is the Japanese number. So it's the same game.
So were there actually 6 games released at this time? Like, is it 6 or 3? Like, is it like the 6th iteration of Final Fantasy, or is it?
It's the 6th one. Yeah, it was only the 3rd one released in the U.S. in the States.
Got it.
So that's why, like, the Super Nintendo cartridge I have and the art says Final Fantasy 3. But
okay, so everyone in like the U.S. understands it. It's 3.
Yeah, unless you're a super dork like me.
A super dork.
Yeah.
Got you. Right.
But to like answer the main character question, you don't get to pick. It's just the story is linear. You don't you can at certain points in the game you definitely pick who's in your party, but that's usually when it hits the like typical open world aspect of Final Fantasy, which actually this game started. Like all of a sudden you get the airship and the world opens up and you can pick different members of your team. Like that started in this game.
Oh, okay.
But each character has a specific aspect of the story, especially in the first act of the game, basically.
Right.
You have less options to choose because they have their story moments. But what I mean by arguing over who the main character is there's probably 3 characters that you could argue are the main character, and you people will pick whether they think a certain moment is more important to the story or, if they just have a favorite, that kind of stuff.
Wait, not that I've never played this game, but like who in your mind is the main character?
And that's one of the things, like I don't actually think there is one. That's what the brilliance is. The 3 characters I'm talking about are Terra, Celis, and Locke. So. Okay.
And is the story pretty well developed for each of the characters, or is it sort of like the characters are just like a class of like fighter or wizard or archer?
No, yeah, they're not that stereotypical in terms of fighter, wizard, all that kind of stuff. Like they have definitely leanings on those, but no, a lot of characters are much more developed than others. Like those 3 are probably some of the most developed.
Right.
But some are basically like gimmicks. Like you pick up a Yeti who you can't even control, and it's just like, why is he in this game?
Wait, is he like an item or is he like a character like in your group?
He's a character.
Oh my God, that's so fun. Like, does he have any attacks or like what can he do anything?
Yeah, he's just a mauler. All he does is he either hits them with a club or he will throw a teammate at the enemy, or if you get him a special item, he can like shoot a blizzard at everyone. That's all he can do.
How many times would you say you've played this game? Like a handful, or like pretty intense to play all the way through? Like how long does it take to play it?
I'm guessing the first time you play it, it's probably a 30 to 40, maybe even 50-hour game.
Like 40 to 50 hours or something is like kind of like the band.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so it's like
you can
skip
Zelda,
a bunch
of stuff.
Like if you've ever played a Zelda game before, it's about that's I don't know, like the only game I've ever like tracked my time on is when God, what's the name of this one? The one that came out for Wii, Twilight Princess. When that came out, and my roommate, or not my roommate, my friend who lived down the hall from me in college got a Wii. And and like they were like fine with me just like playing endless hours on that. That was like a 40-hour game. But I think I got done with it. It's like whatever. Like that's like an hour a day for like a month. So that's like pretty doable.
Yeah, if that's what you want to prioritize.
If that's what you want to spend your time. Right. Yeah. So I guess that like does kind of like bring me to the next. Well, I don't know. Do you feel like, okay, so Final Fantasy 3, that would be like your number one for you personally, right? Are there any others that like stick out in your mind that are of that caliber, or is that kind of like the flag, like, I don't know, the best game in your mind? Like if you had to choose one that you would keep playing, would that be it?
No, I mean,
it might be a different question.
I find that game to be super enjoyable. It has its flaws for sure, And some of them are just technical, like they're just glitches that, I know how to abuse, basically. And so I have to actively not do that if I want to have more fun playing the game.
I've been on the receiving end of knowing glitches to games. Like when we were, I think we were playing in your basement. It was it's like Wayne Gretzky, like 98 or like 90. It might not have been 98 because I think.
Oh no! This I know exactly what game you're talking about. This is NHL 1992 on the Sega Genesis, and there's basically the move, and you score every time.
And the move isn't the move like you bring the puck up to the blue line and like deliver a slap shot, or am I thinking about strikers? Like there's like one.
No, that's strikers. Yeah, no, the move in 92 is you bring the puck down the boards, and whatever, right or left shot, it depends on which side for your guy.
Right.
It doesn't even matter completely, but it works better if you're on their main side. And then you go basically to the face-off dot, and you cut across the ice so that you're making the goalie move, and then you shoot at a certain point, and the game just doesn't allow goalies to move fast enough, so it goes in every time.
I'm guessing that you've beaten up more than just me in that game. Like, have you, walloped some other people with that? Like, how did you figure
I don't know.
out?
You're usually the only person who I can convince to, hey, play this old game with me so I can destroy you.
Well, the only person you can do that with is me?
Yeah, usually.
Old games are fun though, and I don't know what it is, but I have found myself enjoying playing some older games. Like the other day, I actually convinced Carly to play Battletoads with me, and I don't know if you've ever played the original one for NES, but there's friendly fire in it, and once Carly figures that out, all she does is she puts on this mentality where she's like, yeah, get out of my way. And so we're in that tunnel level where you're the Battletoads and you're hanging on ropes, going down and hitting birds with swords and stuff. It's just it's a great game, but there's also a move where if you hover close to the wall, you turn into a cannonball and you can just smash something. You go really fast across the screen. So we didn't make it past there because we just kept killing each other in the tunnel. So we didn't make it to the racetrack level, which is also impossible, but
right.
Yeah. So I mean, do you find yourself? I guess the next question I would ask is
First, we won't go into the nuances of my other games, but I think I have them, and I just want to mention them.
Okay.
Because you asked for top three. I'd say Warcraft 3, Frozen Throne, the whole shebang, is the game, and the whole topic, it comes in with the custom games too, but the campaign's awesome, and the base game with multiplayer is sweet. And so that game's awesome. And then I think the other one is going to be Mario Kart 64.
Oh, yeah.
It's just amazing, and it's so fun. And you talk to anyone about it, it's at all the gaming bars that people have. It's always on the big projector screen. That's what everyone wants to play. So
right.
All right.
And that game is certainly replay. I mean, Warcraft 3. I don't know if I've actually played through the campaign in Warcraft 3, but Mario Kart 64. I feel that's even if you're not a gamer, if you went to college, that was the favorite game of everybody I met. And, universally, it's you want to play Mario, everyone knows how to play it. Even most, not that girls don't play video games, but most, I don't know, I feel not every girl plays it. I feel it's more of a male activity. Maybe I'm just misinformed about it, but
yeah, I think traditionally, especially when we were teenagers or in college and had the free time to play stuff like that, it was more common with males. I think if you talk to people that age now, it's way more equal in who's doing it.
Right. And but Mario Kart seems to be one even with most, whether you're whoever you are, even most girls like that game too, because it's just go, you just press go and you drive. It's the joystick, and that game is awesome.
Hey, this is one of my favorite games. Don't simplify it so much. There's a lot of nuances here, Chris.
Well, there are nuances if you're good, but if you're like me and you come in third or fourth place every time, then it's not. I don't. I guess I don't know the nuances that well, but dude, I guess what was I gonna? I had a question that I wanted to ask you. Fuck. Okay, so you mentioned originally when you were talking about so your top Final Fantasy 3, Warcraft 3, Mario Kart 64, all obviously good choices. You said like it was kind of like a time and a place thing. Like how much of that like comes into play? Do you think it's like you like them because you grew up playing these games, or is like kind of the merits of the games themselves, or is it sort of like a both answer?
It's definitely both. I think there's probably recent games that have maybe are technically, even game design, graphically, et cetera, better, but I have a certain expectation of what I'm going to enjoy in a game, and if I look at where that comes from, like those 3 games define it more than others. That's kind of how I answered the question. But that doesn't mean like there aren't potentially better games, but you mentioned earlier, I tend to play the games that I know I'll like with my limited time, and I'm okay replaying them. And then there are others that I've gone into. And, I'm always, not always, but I often look for new games. I browse the subreddit games just to get updates on stuff, and there's ones I'd be excited for, but I also don't have the disposable income to like buy a Wii because for what I'm gonna use it for,
Right. So, what to that point, you kind of mentioned that's like those are the games that like they have the thing that is kind of like you're looking for in a gaming experience. But what is that? Is it hanging out with friends, like playing a 64 like in person, or is it like Final Fantasy 3? That's like an individual game, and Warcraft 3, it's got a campaign, but it also has like that like, what do you think it is? Is it like what does that look like?
Yeah, well, and it's different things, definitely. You kind of touched on it, and this happened naturally in the 3 games I look for. They all fulfill different, what I'm looking for in a game. I'll be in mood sometimes, with Final Fantasy 6 where I want to, I want that RPG element where I'm growing my team, we're getting stronger, we're figuring it out, and it's single player. There's a story driven to it. You can kind of absorb the greatness of a soundtrack or, a story and things like that. So that's one aspect of it. And then you go to Warcraft 3 and that's there, but then you can also, there's interaction with people. You're not just playing against the computer. So the PvP part of it is going to be there. But there's also, more individual aspect of it. And that's going to be like online multiplayer, which is part of it. And then one of the great things about Mario 64 is it's like one of the best, local couch games in terms of fun. Like I'm not going to sit there and run Grand Prix by myself. Like I don't care about that. I know I can beat the computer. That's fine.
What you don't know is like
if
whether
I do that, if I do that and I lose, I'm just mad. So.
Oh man, but like it is. Man, that game is. Again, like I'm not the best Mario Kart player, but there was this musician. I'm kind of like going back to that college thing, and everyone played it in college. But have you ever heard of the musician Milkman?
Milkman? I think I've heard the name.
He's like one of the do you know like mashup music, like Girl Talk or like anything like that, where it's like they mix a bunch of existing songs and like kind of combine the beats, and so like Milkman is like the poor man's Girl Talk, or like I don't really I don't follow music enough to have any other references. He's like a mashup guy, but he was named Milkman because of like the thing you do in Mario Kart where like I think you hop and you turn and there's like a bunch of like I don't know, there's like these skid colors.
Yeah, drifting.
What is it? Yeah, drifting. But they called it like milking or whatever. Like so, the Milkman is like drift. It's like apparently he named himself that.
Oh, okay.
It's like massive because you got a boost, right? If you're drifting, and then you let it go, you can boost.
Yeah, if you do it right, yeah.
If you do it right. So, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's a viable technique, but apparently he, like, named himself for that. But, yeah, Mario Kart 64, man, that's a fun game. And it's interesting too, like you kind of mentioned, like, you know, there are games today with better graphics, but like there are certain games like that, and I think that Warcraft 3 falls into this category where it's like the graphics aren't the best ever, but they're also like they're not the worst ever, and they're good enough to still play today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so that's, you know, I think it's one of the things why they haven't, you know, other than World of Warcraft, they haven't remade Warcraft in Warcraft 4, but they did StarCraft 2. So
right.
One of the differences in the games is just kind of a philosophy of how it looks. Like Warcraft 3 has heroes, StarCraft 2 has a 200 food limit instead of 100, and it's a lot more about like macro, which is, you know, building as big of an army and being able to replenish that army. And, you know, the tech tree in StarCraft, whereas Warcraft 3 is a lot more about micro, you know, which is individual control of your units and, you know, the best use of their abilities. And so that appealed more to me, but I think it's also the graphical and technical things, like to do macro well and to control all those units, it's so much more difficult with an older game engine like StarCraft is. Whereas it's really, you know, there are things that are not great about the engine for Warcraft 3 in terms of just controlling and enjoying the game, but it's less impactful based on the game philosophy that there is. So
gotcha. So yeah, we could talk a lot. Did you hear about? I think Blizzard is doing like it's called Warcraft Reforged. Did you hear about that?
Yep. Yeah, and they did that for Brood War too. They StarCraft remastered.
Is Brood War like the name for the original StarCraft? Like that's
Brood War is the expansion for the original one, and that's the one that really hit, like, you know, the competitive scene. Why there's a StarCraft channel in South Korea and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Do people play like that StarCraft remastered more than they play StarCraft 2, or is it is there a separate scene for StarCraft remastered versus like the newer StarCraft?
I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's why I thought I would ask, but yeah, I don't know either.
I'm sure there's a separate scene. I don't know which one's more popular. I know they were a purist, and, you know, there's still going to be Korean announcers yelling Plague-oo about Brood War, and it's the original Brood War instead of the remastered one. I don't know if they've adopted the new one completely.
So we talked a little bit about like some older games that we like, and I mean that list is actually like really, I think that's great. I think you nailed those. But is there like a newer game that you're playing that's like kind of hitting on one or more of those like kind of cylinders of like the game experience that you're looking for, or like anything that you're playing now, or do you like find time to play games now, or like what does that look like?
Yeah. So Shannon will be mad at me because I haven't played it in a while. She likes to watch, but Hollow Knight is a game that's a newer game that I've played. So it's kind of a Metroidvania style game where, you know, there's a map, you're exploring your characters. You're not like leveling up, but you get new items. It's more like a Zelda level up type thing. Your sword upgrades, and you can now do this move, and you can double jump. Like that's how it looks. So that game is probably 2 years old or a year and a half old, and it's awesome. But it's you know, it's an indie game. It's not a AAA one, and those are the games that I haven't been playing because, you know, I'm not buying the newest system. I'm not upgrading my PC though. But they're more expensive. You know, Hollow Knight is $15 or something on a Steam sale. So, you know, that kind of thing.
So I remember you had told me about Hollow Knight, and I actually hadn't had the opportunity to even look at it. But that sounds so like, and I know just from like knowing you that like Metroidvania is like, I mean, I don't know, like it seems like it's a. I know that you love Metroid. How does it stack up to like the Metroid series, Hollow Knight? Is it pretty good like as a spiritual successor to Metroid, or is it, you know, like what is it like?
Yeah, I mean it's very similar. It obviously, you know, didn't want to copy and paste or anything, but it's very similar to Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo, which is I know a pretty beloved game. For like years it was the speed run finale on all those like games done quick charity runs.
Right.
People got bored of it, but people still love it. So it does a really good job with that. The enjoyment I have out of it is it just, like I said, it's an indie game, but it kind of nailed the atmosphere and the art direction, and it really did a good job with that. And it's quirky and that kind of stuff, but one of the things that's kind of stopped me is it's really hard. I actually had Nate, who was in my wedding with you, he downloaded it and he got like an hour in and he's like, no, F this, like it's just too hard.
Oh my God. So is there like a hard end to that? I mean, like it follows a story though, right? Like Hollow Knight, like you basically can play it through to the end and beat the final boss. Is that like kind of the structure of the game?
Yeah, I think story, if you want there to be a story, you're going to dig for it. Like you're a bunch of bugs and a bunch of these different insects in this like underground world cave.
You are a bug? You're like, as the main character, you're a bug?
Yeah.
Oh, I have seen this game before. I'm just like pulling up a picture of it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have seen this before.
Yeah, so there's like, there's recurring characters, like you follow this, I think her name is Hornet. She's like a female version of you, and she's got a knife, kind of like you do, or a spear. And you follow her around, and eventually you like win her over, and that she trusts that you're trying to save things instead of just hunting for yourself.
Right.
But it's never said. A lot of it is all between lines, and like I said, you have to dig for it. The game is based mostly on gameplay, exploration. I'd say difficulty is one of them, and then the art style. The story is it's there if you really like just the atmosphere and you want more of it, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, it looks good. Like the visuals on it are great, and I think a lot of it's really cool to see an indie game like kind of execute on those things, because making games it's not easy. But I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now, and it looks like they have definitely achieved like a unique art style. It looks really dark.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything everything's dark because you're in a cave. Like it looks like everything is like the colors are like very blue, white, and black, like kind of shades of those.
Yeah, well, and then there's it follows the Metroid thing where like each zone has its own theme. So there's one that's like basically verdant, like it's super green and lively, and there's just bushes that attack you, basically, they're all leafy. And then there's another one that's like a sewer, and it's got like mutated insects that are coming after you, and there's another that's like a crystal cavern, and it's got pink crystals. So you kind of know where you are based on color sometimes too. Right.
I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I'm actually looking at our clock, so I think I'm trying to keep these to a tight 30 minutes. I think that I don't. Okay, so I'll ask you one last question. Are there any games, new or old, that like you haven't gotten around to playing that you want to get around to playing? Like that, if you could find time, like what would be that one game that you haven't played but that you think would be really good, that's on your horizon?
Oh man, that's a tough question. If I had to say that, it would be kind of the newer games. One of the reasons I tend to play older games is because I know I'm not going to really miss anything in a new experience playing for 15 minutes to an hour long thing. My preferred way to play games is to be able to invest 3 hours at a time so that I can get into a mood and I'm really absorbing the game. And I'm not going to miss anything. There aren't too many distractions, but life doesn't allow that. if I was able to do that, I think there's a couple games that I'd want to play. Probably The Witcher 3 would be one that I'd go into, which I've played for, I don't know, like 10 hours maybe. But the fighting's kind of clunky, and maybe I just need to put it on easy mode so that I can just go through and absorb things. But then I'm like, well, don't be such a wimp, Paul. Like, you can do it. But hey, at this point, it's all about making sure I'm using my time effectively to actually enjoy things.
Yeah.
And then I watched a couple streams of God of War. So the newest one where it's like he's got his kid and stuff like that, and that looked really cool.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about that game. I heard, who was it? It was like Duncan Trussell was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and they were talking about God of War, and they showed him gameplay footage on it. I think won a bunch of awards. There was
they won Game of the Year for one of the most recent things. Yeah.
Was that wasn't GDC though? What was that? What was that awards? It was just some like game award ceremony that they on, or
I don't remember what it was exactly.
Yeah. Me neither. I have no idea, but
people were like surprised Red Dead Redemption 2 didn't win, and I don't know, like that game looks cool, but I don't have as much of a desire to play it as that one. And some of that is just I tend to want certain themes in games, and like a Western doesn't really fit what I want usually.
Right.
The Norse mythology of God of War is just cool.
Right. That's so interesting that you bring that up, because I would definitely consider you, and I don't know if you consider yourself, but like somebody who grew up as like you're like part of the core audience, right? Like you like video games, you enjoy playing them. You might not have as much time now to play them, but then like somebody like my younger brother was telling me, like he bought Red Dead Redemption, and it's actually kind of funny. Like I don't know if I've told you this or not, but I went over to his house, and he's living with he and Charlie are living in an apartment together, so it's like kind of that's like a funny situation in and of itself. But he bought the new Xbox, he bought the new I don't know, Red Dead Redemption. He was like playing it, and I was looking at it, and it was like kind of like what you said, visually cool, maybe not exactly what I was looking for. And he goes, he's riding his horse down this like train track. I'm like, so is this like what is this game like? And he's kind of like, yeah, it's like GTA, but it's in like this fictionalized, he didn't use these words, but it's like in this fake Western world. And he's like, man, I used to have the best horse. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, oh man, like apparently there's something in the game where like the horse becomes like attuned to you over time, and so like it can sprint longer and it's like faster or something like that the longer you have it. He's like, apparently he was like, yeah, I got in like this gunfight with these guys, and they like someone threw a stick of dynamite at me, and like apparently like they have like that element of permanence in there where like the horse blew up and he had to go get a canoe.
Yeah.
But I don't. But like to kind of digress, it's kind of interesting that those like major release games are not necessarily what's interesting to people who've been playing video games for a long time.
Yeah, well, and some of them, the major release, it's all about how much content can they provide, and are you going to get your dollar's worth because you're going to pay $60 for it, and well, by God, it better give me enough content for that. And so the freedom of a non-AAA game, and I'm just waxing poetically on what I believed, is that with like Hollow Knight, it provides probably 30 plus hours if you're just going to play it and try to beat it, but they were able to price it in a way where people are like, I'm just going to get this because I appreciate the choices in the game. It's not, did this provide enough for me for my dollar, that kind of thing.
Right.
And then it's not trying to, it is trying to monetize because these companies need to make money to survive,
right.
But it's not like what's happening in Red Dead Redemption 2 now is it's online and people can use real money to buy a bunch of stuff. Like, and that was core into the design decisions because they needed this game to pay for itself with all the money they invested into it. And you can tell they invested, it's like super high quality. Like what I've noticed is the voice acting is just ridiculous. Like the action, they clearly used actors to portray the characters in kind of all the thousands of cutscenes they have. And so like the facial expressions and all that kind of stuff is amazing. It's super cool. But that doesn't necessarily create a fun experience for me that I want to play. I'll tune in every once in a while to like a Twitch streamer who's playing these games to appreciate like what's happened. And that's out there, right? Yeah, and that's usually how I experience some of these new games and what I can how I can comment on them. And then I'll talk to people who I know and respect about, what did they think about the gameplay and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up, and it's sort of like I don't know if I'm like a cheapskate or what the deal is, but $60 and like buying the new system, it does seem like a lot. It seems like a very big investment, like versus buying something on like do you have any of the new consoles, or do you do like most of your gaming like on Steam now? Is that kind of like the direction that you go?
The newest console I have is a PS2. I do everything on my computer, or I'll play an old game on a PS2, which I don't usually do, or my Super Nintendo, and everything else is on my computer. So. I
took your advice from when I was over at your house, and I got myself a couple of those Xbox controllers for games that I play, on my computer. So I got those Xbox One controllers that hook up to the computer. But do a lot of the games that you play, do they make use of like controllers like that? Do they support it or?
Yeah, I think most.
Like Call of Duty, does that allow you to use?
Oh yeah, if I didn't have a controller, that game would be impossible. At least for me, like I don't have the dexterity on my hands to. That game even says controller recommended on its like intro screen. Yeah, so yeah, I definitely use those, and I mean the original intent of getting those controllers was, we wanted to play couch games together. Shannon and I, and she kind of wanted to get into it, so we played like Castle Crashers for a little bit. And
that game is awesome.
Yeah.
I love Castle Crashers.
What ends up happening is Shannon kind of likes watching, and specifically games that are really pretty and have good soundtracks and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. She just said Shannon doesn't like to be bossed around because I always want my teammate to be good.
That's so good.
Yeah,
we have a high expectation of everybody. Yeah. Right? Like you just need to be doing different things, okay? Like no matter if it's like us playing League or whatever, you're just like. You just need to be in the right spot. You gotta have that. Yeah. You're not a dick about it, though. You're just kind of like. I feel. Like
I do want to be a dick for a second and talk about Shannon and I were playing Portal 2, which is a great game, and we had the controllers, and Shannon, bless her heart, she just hasn't had as much experience with like a dual joystick. Thing.
Yeah, dual joystick. Right.
Right, and so that can be when it's new for someone, it takes a while. And in Portal 2, like you're completing puzzles together, and you need the other person to do something. And so I'll like get to my spot and then be like, "All right, let's see if we can figure out what to do." She's the other robot, and I just see her like running with her, looking straight up in the air or going straight down, and just like. He's not using the dual joysticks and just like strafing to the side and then running off a cliff. Like it's so funny.
It's like that scene in The Office where they're playing Call of Duty and Jim's like in the corner, like jumping into something. Is it like that level, or is it just more like?
I don't know what scene you're talking about, but yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, there's a scene where like what's it, Rashida Jones and whoever plays Jim Halpert, I forget what the actor's name. but like they're playing Call of Duty as like a team building exercise, and Jim like did not figure it out, and he's just like jumping into the wall, and she comes up and just like knifes him in the back of the head.
Yeah.
And anyway, all good stuff, and man, thanks again for doing this, and I'll definitely look into like kind of, I don't know, that doing like maybe like a Skype call or something like that, but I think this was a really good conversation, and I definitely at the very least I've added to the list of games that now I want to like try to go and explore. Hollow Knight looks good. That's probably next on my Steam list.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on, and if you wanted to do this again, it'd be great,
Yeah.
And, those questions back at you would be great to hear, but I know we want to keep it to... We've already gone over time, I get that. So.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, absolutely, let's do it again. Either, be on this end of it, or, if you want to flip the tables, I'd be down for that. So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, man.
All right.
All right.
See you, Chris.
See you soon. All right, later.